Well, this is my second go at a Matchbox restoration. I picked up this little Hillman Minks in one of the local junk shops, I guess you'd call it, really, although these days there isn't that many junk shops around. Everybody seems to know the worth of these old vintage toys, and there's a premium price to be paid on picking them up. There's no such thing as a bargain anymore when you're doing these Matchbox restorations. Now, what I like to do is strip these little vintage toys down. Now, it seems a shame in one way because you'd think it was a collectible, but this is not a particularly rare model. If you go online, you'll see lots and lots and lots of examples of this particular model, so it isn't really a sought after collector's piece. So I don't feel really all that guilty about taking it to bits and doing this particular restoration, even though it's not particularly in a really bad condition. There's a bit of chipped paintwork and no particular damage to the model, but I really just wanted to get some practice in at doing this restoration technique, so I picked this particular model up. Other people might actually want to keep this in its original state, but I'm not really precious about this because, as I say, there are plenty enough examples of this particular model available out there, and it's not particularly expensive. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing here is drilling away at the little rivets that hold this particular model together. Now, this is one of the older Matchbox models, and there isn't actually all that much to it. There's a chassis base with the integrated axle fittings, and there's the bodywork. But as you can see, there's no interior glasswork or interior seating or anything like that. It's just a kind of two-piece clamshell arrangement. Three-piece if you count the wheels as well. So there isn't actually all that much to do with this model, which is great. What I'm trying to do, as I said, is get a little bit of practice in doing this sort of thing. So moving on, we go to what is now my go-to method of stripping the paint on die-cast models. Now, I have tried other means of doing this, including the caustic soda method, which I found incredibly toxic and not very nice to use at all. So what I've gone to is this chemical called Paint Predator. And I just put it in this small glass sealable bowl here, dump in my models, and lo and behold, an hour or so later or longer, they're stripped. Now, I'll not say this is the perfect way to actually do this paint stripping. It's still reasonably toxic, and you do have to be aware of this by wearing things like, for example, gloves, and doing this in a well-ventilated area. It does stink. So make sure you do have the windows open and a nice draft through the room you're doing this in. Otherwise the wife will complain holy hell about the stench going downstairs and polluting the whole house. Having said that, I haven't really found a better way of doing this, and a way that does it so well and quickly. So that's Paint Predator for you. If you have any other suggestions, let me know in the comments. Now, I did mention that there wasn't a lot of damage actually done to this particular model. It's quite pristine, really, in its structure. There's no work for me to do, really. But one of the things I do like to do is wire brush the model. Now, the reason that is because of the way that these models are made. They're die-cast, they're cast by Matchbox. There can be a slight bit of pitting left over from the casting process, but this is hidden by the thickness of the kind of enamel paints, I presume they're enamel, that Matchbox used, so you get this nice smooth finish at the end of the day. Now, because the paints that I use are slightly thinner the acrylics, it's a bit more important to me that I make sure that the model itself is as smooth as possible before I start painting it. So I get rid of that pitting, and as I say, the way I do this, as you can see, is by wire brushing it, so I get as smooth a finish as I can before I start airbrushing. Now we've got to one of my favourite parts of the model restoration process, and that's the application of the primer before painting. Now I use Tamiya's fine primer, and one of the things I like about that and this stage is the fact you can really see some of the fine detail on the original Matchbox model now. Things like the grille and the panel lines and things like that, they really stick out at this stage. Okay, what I'm going to do now is kind of blaze through the next section and again use the fast forward ability to get through this, because it's quite intensive in what I have to do here, because I'm preparing to do the airbrushing now, and that includes a lot of little processes which you might not be so interested in. Suffice to say that what I'm using is my Tech Art No Clean Rechargeable airbrush. So I'm preparing the paint in its right mixture for this, and doing a little test here on a plastic spoon so I can see the coverage of this particular paint. Right, so I'm using my usual preferred paint brand here, which is Vallejo, and in this particular case it's model colour. For the top of the car, the roof, it's going to be this ivory cream, and for the lower half, the main body of the car, it's going to be this kind of pastel blue. Now, I'm not being sort of precious about exact colour matching here. I just want to get as close as I can, but preferably something that comes straight out of a bottle so that I can repeat the process again later and not have to remix paints. And now, as you can see, I'm starting to do the tricky bit for me always, which is masking. I try to do as careful job as I can, because of course the better job you do with the masking, the better your paint job turns out. So I spend quite a little bit of time doing this. So moving on, now I'm doing the test for the pastel blue. Again, doing the same thing, testing it out on a plastic spoon first to make sure that the paint is thinned correctly, and I was really pleased with how this pastel blue turned out. Now, the moment of truth here is when, of course, you take off all the masking, and this again took quite a little bit of time because I masked so well, basically. I was generally pleased. Of course, there are always tiny mistakes here. I always seem to accidentally leave a tiny little gap in the masking process where some of the paint sneaks through, but it's very easy remedied with a bit of touch-up afterwards. Well, we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel here now. You'll be thankful to know. What we're doing is working on the base of the car now. Now, the wheels were in very good condition, I have to say, on this one, so I didn't bother removing them and try and replace them. I simply give them a bit of a refresh with some Vallejo sea grey paint, and that seemed to match the original colour of the Matchbox wheels really well. And as you can see, they look rather smart at the end of the day. The other thing I did was give the base a quick spray of gloss black. And we're on the last lap now. And in this section, what I'm really doing is just reattaching the base to the body of the car. Now I decided to go down the route of attaching it via a hex screw. Now I've talked to a lot of the guys on the Matchbox forum, the Facebook group, and there's various opinions about what to do here. Some simply glue it with silicone glue, a blob of silicone glue, to get everything back together again. But I like to go down the tap it route because I never know whether at some point I might want to do a better job of my restoration. So I want to be able to take everything back to pieces again to rework it. Now this is more important when you've got interior parts you want to access, not so much on this particular model which doesn't have any interior. And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the completion of my Matchbox vintage Hillman Minks. I think this was first issued in 1958, so the model is actually older than I am. Not by much, but a bit. And it's a lovely little piece to do. As I say, it wasn't a complicated restoration because it was in good condition and there wasn't that many parts. I didn't really have to restore it, but I wanted to get that practice in. This was of particular interest to me because my father actually owned this model of car and he took us on holiday to Belgium in the 1960s in one of these. I hope you've enjoyed this restoration, and if you have, drop me a comment and tell me what you think. Love to hear from you. Cheers, guys.